The book of Psalms was written across 1,000 years, by kings and shepherds, by warriors and worshippers, by men in palaces and men in caves. And hidden inside its pages are 7 promises so specific, so personal, so unbreakable, that if you memorized nothing else from Scripture, these alone would be enough to carry you through anything life brings. We live in a world that is moving faster and getting louder by the day. Anxiety is at record levels. Uncertainty has become the new normal. And most people, even people of deep faith, are navigating life with one hand holding their phone and the other hand barely holding on. What the Psalms offer is not a spiritual escape from that reality. It's something better. It's an anchor inside of it. These 7 promises were not written for perfect circumstances. Every single one of them was forged in difficulty, tested in fire, proven in seasons that looked nothing like what God had promised. Which means they were written for exactly the kind of world you and I are living in right now. Let's go through them one by one. Promise 1, you will not lack. Psalm 23 verse 1. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. 6 words. Possibly the most memorized 6 words in all of Scripture, and yet genuinely understood by very few. This is not a promise of abundance in the way the world defines it. It is something more radical. It is a promise that under the care of this specific shepherd, nothing you truly need will be withheld from you. Not comfort at the expense of growth, not ease at the expense of character, but everything you genuinely need for the season you are actually in. David wrote this, a man who spent years running for his life, hiding in caves, eating whatever he could find, and from that life, he declared, I shall not want. Not because everything was comfortable, but because he had learned that the shepherd always provides exactly what the sheep needs, exactly when they need it. Memorize this one for the moments when your resources feel thin and your needs feel overwhelming. The shepherd has not lost track of you. Promise 2, you have a refuge. Psalm 46 verse 1. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Not a distant help, not a scheduled help, a very present help. He is exceedingly present in trouble, which means the moment the trouble arrives, he is already there. Not on his way, not being notified, already there, present before you even articulate the prayer. This promise was written in the context of nations collapsing, mountains falling into the sea, the earth giving way. And in the middle of that level of catastrophe, the psalmist says, therefore we will not fear. Not therefore we will not feel. Not therefore we will not struggle. We will not fear. Because the refuge is already occupied, and it has never once been breached. Memorize this one for the moments when everything around you is shaking and you need to remember that not everything is. Promise 3, you will be led through, not around. Psalm 23 verse 4. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Notice the word through, not over, not around, not air lifted out before it gets difficult. Through. God's promise in the valley is not extraction. It is companionship. The promise is not that you will be spared the dark valley. It is that you will never walk it alone, and that the same presence that is with you in the valley will walk you out the other side. The valley of the shadow of death refers to deep darkness, thick darkness, the kind that feels like it has weight. And into that specific darkness, the promise is not a flashlight handed through a door. It is God Himself walking beside you step by step through every shadow. Memorize this one for the seasons that feel like they have no end. The darkness always has an other side, and you are never navigating it alone. Promise 4, your weeping has an expiration date. Psalm 30 verse 5. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. This is not a dismissal of grief. It is a declaration about its duration. The night is real. The weeping is real. God is not minimizing what you are carrying. He is telling you something about how long you will have to carry it. The night, however long it feels, has a morning attached to it. Joy is not a possibility on the other side of this. It is a promise. It is coming. With the same certainty that morning follows night, without exception, without negotiation, without delay. Jeremiah, the same man who wrote Lamentations from the ruins, also wrote about God's plans for a future and a hope. The night does not get the final word in the life of someone whose hope is anchored in God. Memorize this one for the seasons of grief that feel permanent. They are not. The morning is already scheduled. Promise 5, you will be defended. Psalm 34 verse 22. The Lord redeems the soul of his servants, and none of those who take refuge in him will be condemned. In a world that is quick to define you by your worst moments, God makes a promise about your standing before him that no accusation can overturn. None. That is an absolute. Not most. Not the majority. None of those who take refuge in him will be condemned. The enemy of your soul is called the accuser of the brethren for a reason. His primary strategy is condemnation, shame, the relentless replay of every failure, every mistake, every moment you wish you could take back, weaponized against your sense of identity and belonging before God. And into that specific attack, this promise stands. The Lord redeems. Past tense. Already done. The defense has already been entered. The verdict has already been delivered. Memorize this one for the moments when the voice of accusation is louder than the voice of grace. You are not condemned. You are redeemed. Promise 6. Your desires will be fulfilled. Psalm 37 verse 4. Delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. This is one of the most quoted and most misunderstood promises in all of Psalms. It is not a vending machine verse. It is not, want something badly enough, add God, receive it. The operative word is delight. To find your deepest satisfaction in God himself rather than in what he can give you. And what happens when you delight yourself in him? Your desires change. They align. What you want begins to look like what he wants. And then, the promise is extraordinary. He gives you those desires. Not because you named and claimed them, but because your heart became soft enough in his hands that what you wanted became something he was delighted to give. Memorize this one not as a formula, but as an invitation. The closer you get to him, the more your desires become safe to trust. Promise 7. Your steps are ordered. Psalm 37 verse 23. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delights in his way. Not the destination only. The steps. Each individual step. Ordered. Arranged. Specifically directed by a God who is not managing your life from a distance, but is intimately involved in every single move you make. And then, 4 words that should stop you completely. He delights in his way. Not tolerates. Not manages. Delights. God looks at the path your life is taking, the winding, imperfect, rerouted, sometimes stumbling path of a person genuinely trying to follow him, and he delights in it. You are not a disappointment being managed. You are a story being written by someone who is deeply, personally invested in how it unfolds. Memorize this one for the moments when the road ahead feels unclear and uncertain. Your steps are not random. They are ordered, and the one doing the ordering delights in the journey. 7 promises, written across 1,000 years, by people who had every reason to doubt and chose instead to declare, you will not lack. You have a refuge. You will be led through, not around. Your weeping has an expiration date. You will be defended. Your desires will be fulfilled. And your steps, every single one of them, are ordered. These are not motivational statements. They are covenant commitments from a God who has never broken one. Write them down. Put them on your wall. Set them as your phone background. Say them out loud on the days when circumstances are screaming louder than Scripture. Because the Psalms were not written for easy seasons. They were written for exactly this one. And they have never, in 3,000 years of human history, come back empty. If this gave you something to hold on to this week, share it with someone who needs it. And subscribe, because there is a lot more where this came from. Which of these 7 promises do you need most right now? Drop it in the comments below. See you in the next. God bless you.